Hey everyone, this is Rhythm Shift back with another toy review. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Transformers Studio 86 Hot Rod figure from Hasbro slash Takara Tomy. I picked this figure up a couple months ago, not that long ago. And first of all, I don't usually collect this scale of Transformers figures. But I made an exception in this case because Hot Rod is one of my favourite characters, definitely one of my favourite Autobots. So I saw this figure and I thought, you know what, let me give him a shot. Let me see what this figure has got to offer. So mainly I'm a masterpiece collector also, so as I said, this scale isn't usually something I go for, but in the case of a character that I like, such as Hot Rod, I was prepared to make an exception. So I've already taken him out of the packaging. Here's how the box looks, and the box art is great. You've got this great picture of Hot Rod holding the matrix of leadership there. It says 86 Transformers, the movie. The only Transformers movie in my opinion, but hey, that's that. On the side of the box you've got some nice artwork here. Same picture again, but a larger version of it. And on the other side, again, it's the same artwork, but just a portrait close-up of his head. On the back of the packaging, it shows you what you're pretty much getting, and you've got the Hot Rod there, and it says 29 steps to transform, big screen inspired, scale, detail, backdrop. The backdrop is in the depths of Unicron, so that would be the scene when Hot Rod is standing toe to toe and facing up against Galvatron at the climax of the film. So the packaging is very nice. It's the best that I could get because at the time this was the only figure they had left of this character. They sold out of all the others, so this was the last one on the shelf, which is pretty much what prompted me to buy it, because I thought, you know what man, if I don't buy it now, I said if I don't buy it, B-I-T-E, not if I don't buy it. If I don't buy it now, I might not see this figure again at the price that it is. So I thought, let me take the shot. So that's the packaging, and get that out of the way. And here's the figure. So he arrives in his robot mode. So here he is in his robot mode. There we have young Hot Rod, and he looks great. A bit closer. Yeah, he looks great. Let's take this down a bit. There you go. So he looks really cool out of the packaging. You know, first impressions of this figure are very good, especially from the front side. He looks great. I mean, it's a good sculpt. The head sculpt's a very nice likeness to the character. Let me put it a bit closer. So the head sculpt is very nice, and overall his colours look the part. But you do notice that on the back they've cut some corners, like the back of his knees have got this yellow plastic here, which kind of looks a little out of place. And when you bend his knees, that becomes visible, but it's not the end of the world because it's still in line with his colour scheme. You know, the red, the orange, and the yellow. So that's that. I mean, let's go over articulation. So, articulation-wise, he can move his head left and right. He can look up that far, down that far. He can rotate at the shoulders. He would be able to do 360, but his tail fin spoiler blocks. He can move outwards laterally like that, which is great. He has a single, is that single? Yeah, single jointed elbow, but you get deep bend like that, which is very nice. You can also rock his arm inward and outwards like that. He has waist rotation, which is great. You can kick forward with his legs that far. You can also kick back that far. You can do the splits that far. He can bend his knee, single knee, but it's got a deep bend on it there. And he can rock his ankles from side to side like that. He also has a wrist rotation, I believe. Yeah, he's got a rotating wrist, which is great because I think for a child's toy, for a young collector, this is a great toy in terms of articulation and sculpt, and definitely very playable. I mean, it looks like it's made for a younger audience than, say, myself, who's mainly into the MP line. But with that being said, I'm just going to grab this here. Here is my G1 Hot Rod, and we'll stand them side by side. Now, articulation wise, he kills this vintage figure, because the vintage figure, all you can do is you can look down a bit, his arm swings left in and out, his elbow bends, and that pretty much is it in terms of articulation. And this is one of the reasons why vintage Transformers, I enjoyed the cartoon, enjoyed the movie, but in terms of enjoying the toys, these vintage toys, they never really cut it for me, because they really lacked articulation. So I like to be able to pose and move my figures, which is something that I'm into. I couldn't really do it with these vintage toys. So from that point alone, this is a great update on the vintage figure. The fact that you can, he's got so much articulation, and he's sculpted to look like he did in the '86 movie, which is great. So let's go over some of his accessories now. He comes with some recognizable ones, very recognizable ones. So now, isn't that interesting? Check this out. HotRod comes with his blasters, which look just like the vintage toy, his blasters. But what I noticed is I had these energy effects on them, right? These energy flame effects come packaged with HotRod. I just pulled them off the guns, and it's actually pulled the silver paint off the barrel of the gun, which is a little bit annoying. Don't know if you can see that there. It's got a red part showing where it should be all silver. That happened in both guns. So that's a little annoying, but not majorly, because at the end of the day, if he's blasting these guns, they're going to look a bit maybe warm around the end of the barrel. So I can just imagine it's that, but it's something to be mindful of. So he comes with his 2 blaster guns, which is, you know, expected for a HotRod figure. Some flame effects, which is great, which is something I wish we got more of with the Masterpiece scale figures. He comes with, oh, is it going to pull the silver off here? Probably. No, it didn't. Well, hang on, it's not over yet. No, it didn't, thankfully. He comes with a matrix of leadership, like that. And he also comes with an energy effect, which attaches to the matrix of leadership, which is what I just pulled off there, and I was wondering if it's going to strip the paint. Thankfully it didn't. He also comes with his saw blade, which he uses in the scene when he's when he and Cup crash land, and they're in the swamp, and he's fighting that giant squid before he repairs Cup. So he's got his saw blade there. So let's see how these accessories work with the figure himself. So he has you can open his fingers like that. They're all joined together, so it's just all the fingers moved together. Now what you can do is you can grab his gun, and you can place that in his hand like so. It's great. Then you can grab his other gun and put it in his other hand. Like so. There you have a dual wielding HotRod, which is something that I love to do. That was always one of the things I loved about HotRod. He looks so cool with these guns. Even though he didn't use them in the movie, I mean, they're great. And now what you do is you can attach these blast effects, these flame effects, to the barrels of the guns. Like so. Now it looks like he's actually blasting, which is great. I love these blast effects. As I said, I wish we'd get more of them with the MP scale figures, because you've got all these characters with guns and stuff, but they never look like they actually blasted them, so that's great. Now what else you can do with this figure is you could take these flame effects and you could attach them to his wrist blasters like that. So you could have it to, so he's blasting out of his wrist cannons, which is what he uses in the movie for the most part. So you can do that. That's a really cool effect. Now what else you can do is you can store these weapons on his back. So let's do that. It's not hard to do. If you turn around on his back, you see you've got these 2 ports here. Now what you can do is you can take the square parts of these guns and plug them into the ports like that and like that. So you can store his weapons on the back. That's a really cool feature, and I wish that the MP28 had this feature. So in some ways this does improve on the MP28 design a little bit in some areas, but you know, I still love my MP28. But the great thing about this is that you can have it looking like HotRod's got an aura now, like his HotRod's hot, you know. And you know, he's got the flame effects coming off his back. That just looks really, really cool. I think, you know, it's charging up or something. Thinking that like Dragon Ball when they supercharge, you know, and Goku charges up and stuff. But that looks pretty cool, I think. So that's that. So for his saw blade hand, how do we change this out? What we've got to do is, if I remember correctly, you've got to, hang on, bear with me to find it out. So this comes up, you can separate the wrist like that, then you would rotate it like so, and like that you get his welding tool, which he uses to fix cup in the movie. So you can put his welding tool on his right hand, if you can see that there. He has a welding tool. That's pretty cool. Now on the other hand, let's do the same thing. This is where you attach the saw blade, because here, once you swip the wrist around, it's got this circular peg. Now this peg goes into the porthole here. Plug that in, and now his right hand is the saw blade, where in the movie where they play the song "Nothing's Gonna Stand in Our Way," he's helping to defend Cup against that giant sea squid thing, and that spins. So that's really, really cool. I mean, great accessories. So let's put his arm back the correct way. Take away the welding tool. Now this saw blade tool also, if I take it off, put his hand back. This saw blade tool can also be stored on his back, because there's 2 extra ports where the guns go in there. What you can do is you can just press this here, press that on there, and it will store on his back. So he's got all of his weapons on his back now. Personally, I think it looks a little bit cumbersome, but it's nice that you have the option to do that. I mean, if you're just displaying this guy from the front and you don't want to lose his accessories, that could be a way to do it. I mean, if you're just standing him on your shelf front facing like that, you can keep all his weapons together. Now the other accessory he comes with is the Matrix of Leadership, which you have here. Now it has one side which has you know, fully sculpted, and the other side there's a hole sculpted in there, right? So what you do is you take the Matrix and you can put his thumb between each hole like that. So he holds the Matrix. Give me a second. So here you've got HotRod holding the Matrix. Let's take his arms out. Right, here you have HotRod holding the Matrix. Now what you can do is, to recreate the scene from the movie, you can just get him to stand up a bit there. Take this energy effect, and this clips into the Matrix like so. I'll turn it around. So that clips onto the porthole in the Matrix. So now you can hold it as if you're recreating the scene from the movie where he takes hold of the Matrix. You know, that looks really, really cool. I mean, again, I wish I had an energy effect for this for my MP28 at MP scale HotRod. So that looks really cool. Now, one other thing you can do is, in the packaging, if you open it up, let me do this now. When you open up the packaging, it comes with a backing card, which you can take out of the box, as I'm doing right now. Now this, you can take this out of the box, and you can use this as a display piece. Now as you can see, you've got the interior of Unicron there, where he would have faced off against Galvatron. So if we place our HotRod there, it's almost as if you're recreating the scene from the movie where he takes hold of the Matrix, and that does look very, very cool. Now that I'm not going to be doing this for my personal collection, because I've got my actually, you never know, maybe I might scan this backdrop and print it out at a different scale, because it does actually look very, very good. Now there's something to think about. I might scan that and print that at a larger scale, but yeah, you've got the option of displaying him this way if you so choose to do so, you know. Now light our darkest hour. Love that movie, man. So there you have that. So let's do comparison with what have we got? Well, let's first of all do a comparison with a tape measure. And then we're going to get him into his robot, into his art mode, and we'll review that. So puts these down here. This this MP, it's not MP. This Studio 86 hot rod stands at, I think, from the base of his foot to the top of his head, just about 5.5 inches tall. Okay, so that's really, really cool. Now I'm going to get my hot rod here. My MP28 hot rod, I should say, which I thought I had, but it's over here. There we go. Right, so here he is, alongside my MP28. And this MP28 was my first masterpiece figure, which is what really got me into collecting MP Transformers, because this is the one I always wanted, you know, the hot rod that I always wished I had. So it's very similar. I've got his goggles down on the MP28, and I forgot to show you that's something you can do with this one, so let's show you. You can have his, take his head, it's the same principle as the MP28, you fold the head back, you pull the blue shades down and you close his head again, and you've got that look for your hot rod, which is really, really cool. Just like in the movie when he's shooting the shuttle where Megatron and the Decepticons are trying to infiltrate Autobot City. So yeah, they both look good together, and very, very happy. I mean, he looks really, really cool. Turn this just around. And as I said, I wish you had on the MP28 a place to store his weapons just like on this, but you don't, unfortunately. And this is a precursor to this, so I can see how they took certain design cues from this figure and brought it into this scale with this figure. So I can't really complain because this is a precursor to this one. But yeah, both great hot rod figures, man. Both really, really good hot rod figures. Now what we're going to do is we're going to transform this guy and get him into his out mode, and we're going to do a review of that, but I'm going to do that off camera. I'm going to do the transformation, then I'll be back in a minute to show him in his out mode. Okay, so here we have the Studio 86 hot rod figure in his out mode, the car mode. So this is how he looks, and it's a fair looking hot rod. I mean, it looks pretty faithful to the movie, but doesn't quite capture the look for me. I think the profile doesn't look quite right. Like the front seems to be a bit more prominent on the in the actual animation, but it still looks good, and it's a very faithful reproduction of this, which is the vintage 86 hot rod toy, 86 hot rod toy, I think. And size wise they're pretty close in size, but as you can see this one's got more of a modern type of sculpt into it. It's got a lot more soft lines, more angles. This is very just straight up, whoosh, bit of a brick. But this old hot rod toy rolls like a dream, you know, with the rubber reels. It just rolls beautifully, whereas this one, it doesn't really roll very smoothly. You know, it kind of drags. And it's probably because the wheels aren't rubber, they're plastic, and they don't really come down far enough. You know, you've got the knee ports which actually drag on the ground when you're trying to roll it. So it doesn't really roll as good as the vintage toy, but it looks great. You know, it certainly looks great. Now what you can do is you can store weapons on this. You can put the guns in these ports at the top, if you so choose to do so, which I personally do not. But just to demonstrate that you can do that, if you want to have him in battle while he's in car mode. Yeah, those can clip onto the top if you want it, or you can put his saw blade there. Why you'd want to do that, I honestly don't know, but well, you could put the saw blade on top of the guns because those have the port. Alternatively, what can you do? I think these guns can actually clip on the front of the bonnet as well, because there seems to be ports available for that, and yeah, there is. So if you wanted to, you could plug the guns in the front of the bonnet like that, and you can do it on the side. No, it's just there. Plugs into the engine port. Okay. So if you wanted to, you could do that, but I don't. But all in all, this is a pretty cool Hot Rod toy. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be getting any more at this scale, but I'll probably keep this guy, because if ever I do get a Unicron figure, it might be worth having a Hot Rod at this scale to make it look a bit more menacing than if he was just standing next to the MPs. But all in all, yeah, this is a nice, cool little Hot Rod figure. Here he is from the bottom. You know, he's fairly well hidden, no head shine or anything, but still, you're not really going to display him from the bottom. But yeah, it's a decent Hot Rod toy. Would I recommend him? Well, I would, especially if you're not yet into the Masterpiece scale. If you're not into the Masterpiece scale and you're just looking at getting some affordable Transformers, you could start with the Earthrise Transformers Siege figures, who scale very well with this. He's got great articulation, a nice sculpt, comes with a nice selection of accessories. Yeah, this is a great Hot Rod, man. There have been some shitty Hot Rod toys over the years, but this isn't one of them. This guy really is very well made. He's very sturdy, very secure. You can transform him without fear of breaking him if you've got young children. You know, maybe if your children are 5 or 6 and you want to introduce them to Transformers without giving them something too expensive or it's all valuable, then you could give them one of these and they could play with it and have a good time. So long as they don't smash it around, and you know, because obviously if you smash it, it will break. But you know, if they treat their toys well, they should have fun with this. So yeah, it's fading in and out of focus there, but that's the review of the Transformers Studio 86 Hot Rod toy. Will I be getting any more from this line? Well, I already picked up a Jazz, but I think I'm going to be stopping there, because I've got quite a large Masterpiece scale collection, and I'm not looking to restart another Transformers collection. I don't think that's really something that I want to do. But the Jazz is okay, and I kind of got him to see how he scales with this Hot Rod and to make my decisions based upon that. And I'll probably keep these two, but in terms of collecting at this scale, that's where I'm going to probably draw the line, because yeah, my MP scale is far too... I'm far too far into my MP scale collection to start another collection of Transformers now. But that's the review. I hope you've enjoyed it and found it informative and helps you make up your mind if you want to get this figure. On to the next review. Thanks for watching and take care.